Hello everyone and welcome to the August tutorial for our YouTube channel. This month we will be painting this fun balloon animal, and this painting is based off a reference by Pratik Patel on Unsplash. Thank you for the use of this image. This lesson will occur in 3 stages: sketch, blocking, details, and finish. And there are a variety of materials standard to what we've done in our other tutorials. We'll be using a canvas panel, Liquin original, 3 colors, and a variety of brushes. And of course, use what you have. This is very easy painting to translate into another colorway. In the first stage of the painting, we will work on the sketch, and I have provided a screen grab of the sketch here for you so that you may translate to your canvas. This would be a very easy one to sketch out, but you could also use graphite or transfer paper or projector, whatever method it is that works best for you. And in order to create the sketch, we have first washed the canvas panel with burnt sienna, then downed with Gamsol, and then I've wiped it off, and I've applied my sketch with graphite, but you could use pencil, you could use a charcoal, whatever works best for you. And then once I have this sketch on the canvas panel the way that I would like, I affix that sketch with burnt sienna thinned down with Gamsol, and it's thinned down to kind of an inky watercolory texture, because what I want to do is to affix the lines to the canvas with this burnt sienna color so that I can start to think through the sketch and think through how I'm going to paint the sketch as far as how I will approach it. So one of the things that I'd like you to be thinking about as you are translating the sketch to the canvas is how these different oval shapes interact with each other. So if you've ever made a balloon animal or seen somebody make a balloon animal, what they do is they take a really long tube of balloon and they twist it into almost like sausage sections and then wrap those sections around each other. So in the reference photo, you can see that there are differing levels of transparency where you can see the various sections of the balloon animal through the other sections. And so as you're painting and as you're starting to work on this sketch, think about the different oval shapes, how the ovals exist separately and how they overlap with each other. And this is going to be very helpful when we begin painting, because there are different levels of red that we will use, red and pink and kind of a purple color, to show the layers of material and the transparency of that material. So if you can start to think now where these different areas are overlapping, what areas will be darker, what areas will be lighter, that's going to be really helpful as you move forward with the sketch itself. This is a really fun painting. It might be one that is for not a complete beginner, but somebody who feels a little bit more comfortable with color mixing, although we're not mixing a variety of colors. We're only using 3 colors in this painting. But it is a fun challenge, and I found it very neat to kind of work out the puzzle of this dog balloon using oil paints. I've also provided some registration marks for the different reflections that will appear on the balloon. These reflections and shadows are going to help to provide that form and give that illusion of curvature or that kind of shiny, sleek texture. So we want to be sure that we're anchoring the balloon with this shadow, and we'll work on that in the blocking stage, and that we're also providing these reflections to help the illusion of that texture, that slight, shiny, sleek texture in the balloon. So I provided these here for you, and I would suggest, if if you don't trace them out exactly, at least making some kind of mark to remind yourself, because once we're blocking, we are going to avoid putting color in those areas until we get to the highlight, just the nature of white and how easy it is to contaminate white. And we will be layering over the reflections several times to get the brightest white possible and to create those differing levels of transparency, as we'll see that there are different kind of light reflections that are coming through the various layers of the balloon. So please take your time with the sketch, really think through it, think through how the balloon would be shaped, and this is going to be very helpful for you when we get to the blocking stages. Of course, don't stress too much. This should be fun, and it's just oil paint, and we can always add to and adjust and scale as we move forward. Stage 2 is the blocking stage, and this is where we start to lay down the basic color. And this painting is done with just 3 colors, so it's very simple in that regard. We are using a titanium white, a cadmium red, and a Prussian blue, and I am using Gamma artist colors for this particular painting. And this variety of colors, these 3 colors, should allow us to get everything from white to a pastel pink to nice shades of red, and then also to the purple, which will be in the darkest part of the shadows. To start the painting, I am first recommending that you fill in the background. And I know I've talked about this in previous tutorials, but it is so helpful to put in the background first, because how the colors read in the figure that we're painting are going to be influenced by the background. And so the background is one of the lighter elements of the painting. If you look at the reference photo, you can see that it's kind of a pinkish, light lavender color, and it's darker in the corners and lighter on the bottom. And this is what's going to frame the overall balloon animal. So putting in that background first is going to be really helpful in making sure that the colors in the figure pop. And so to create this background, I'm taking white and red and just a little bit of Prussian blue. And you're going to see that I'm going back and forth here because I want that very light lavender pinkish color, and the blue does tend to overload the mix right from the beginning. So this is going to be a great activity and challenge in color mixing and learning, how much of each to put in. So you're going to see that I continue to adjust and I continue to add as I move forward. And I do a lot of color mixing on the palette because it allows me to lay down a tile of color, see how that looks, and then adjust as I move forward. So with this background, I want to get just that barely hint of purple for these first kind of swipes of color. I'm also off camera putting a little bit of Gamma on my brush, just a small drop, and then I am using that as a medium to kind of make the color spread a little bit easier. And there are a lot of different things that you can use for a medium. Gamblin actually has, I forget the name of it, but they have a clear medium that you can use that works really well. I like personally using the Liquin because the Liquin also helps the paint to dry a bit faster. So the first thing I'm doing is going in and laying paint down around the balloon animal itself. And after I have laid in this paint, I'm going to blend out those brush strokes to get a smoother surface. But right now I'm just concerned with outlining this shape and filling in the background to start to get a kind of a base for the overall painting. And you'll notice in this particular shot that the color on the palette is lighter looking than the color on the background of the canvas as I lay it down. It's more purple on the canvas and it's more pink in the palette. And this is one great example of how color theory works and how the colors surrounding it change the colors. So it's really great to continue to do these mixes so that you can experiment with the color and play with the color as you move forward. You see that I've added a little bit more white here into the bottom, and this white is going to help me to ground the figure. And the background, it's not the focal point, but it does help to set off the figure. So taking your time with the background can be very helpful. And what's going to be most important to remember as you paint this background is that we want to have darker corners, and we want to have kind of a little bit of lighter, not white, but much lighter, much paler pink in the ground around the feet of the balloon animal. And that just kind of helps to ground it. And it also makes the background just a little bit more interesting. You can see how that is done in the reference photo. As I move forward with the painting, you'll see that one of the elements that I'm focusing on is providing a darker color at the top of the painting. This is more of like a dark lavender, maybe even a mauve. And this is going to help to keep the eye within the painting. So we have the darkest areas at the corners and the lightest areas at the bottom around the feet of the dog. Anytime you have something that's really bright or light in the corners, or if you have an element that's kind of going out of the corner, it's going to take the eye of the viewer out of the painting. So having these dark corners helps the viewer to focus on the figure in the painting. And you can experiment with this and see, just looking at some paintings and see what works for you and what your own aesthetic is. You'll also notice that I have the balloon animal dog slightly off center. And this is done just for visual interest as well, which is also done in the reference photo, but I zoomed in on the dog a little bit since this is the focus of our painting. So I just want to continue to fill the canvas to make sure that I have covered all of the areas in the background, all of the areas that are closest to the outline of the dog as well. And we'll be blending and offering some soft edges as we move forward in the tutorial. And that helps us to really just set the figure within the background. I do have quite a few brush strokes. You can see them reflected in the light, and I will use a blending brush to go through and knock out these brush strokes so that it's a more smooth and gradiated background moving forward. But the most important thing is that we're covering the canvas and that we don't see any of the underpainting peeking through. And this just really helps with the blocking stage, and then you're not focusing on filling in little gaps when you get to the detail stage, although that sometimes happens and that's okay too. Remember, with oil painting, you can always wipe it off and start over, and it's just a piece of paper or a canvas panel, and you can try it again. So these tutorials are meant to be fun and they're meant to build your skills, but don't be too frustrated if things don't go right. Not every painting day is effortless, but we sometimes learn the most from these challenges. You can see that I've put in just a bit more white, and here I am going in with the blending brush, and I'm barely touching the canvas and just blending out those brush strokes to give that a smoother appearance to the canvas. If you don't have a blending brush, you can use a makeup brush, and those can be really helpful. I use a mop blending brush from Rosemary & Co., but there are several different brands that make blending brushes, and I'm trying to keep the background out of the ovals for the balloon animal as much as possible, but I'm not stressing about it too much. One element that you want to keep in mind is that anytime you add in white to a pure color, it's going to automatically start to turn it pastel. This is an effect that we are using to our advantage for this particular painting, but it can be something that really interferes when you want to have those darker colors appear. So just keep that in mind as you're moving forward, that we want to try to keep these pink elements in as much as we possibly can as we move forward. We want to keep them in the background. I'm using the blender brush here, and I was having a bit of trouble with this blender brush because it's older and it has been used and cleaned many times. So you can see that some of the bristles are actually falling out of the brush. If this happens to you, just do your best to get them out while it is white. You can usually just kind of wipe them off. If you have a brush where the bristles are falling out, you can usually take a smaller brush or toothpick and kind of get those bristles out without ruining the painting. Sometimes when you're using brushes that are a lower quality, which we all have done, the bristles can fall out as well. So that's a perfectly natural part of the process. If you have a chance to go to a museum and look at paintings, you'll often see bristles in paintings, especially older paintings as well. So it's fun. So don't stress too much if that happens. Now that we have the majority of the background in, I'd like to start focusing on the shadow. And for the shadow and the darkest colors, we're not going to use black, but we are going to mix a very dark purple by blending the Cadmium Red with the Prussian Blue. And this is going to be the color that we're using whenever several sections are overlapping and they're creating the darkest level of the balloon animal. And it's also going to be when we have a curve. So when the animal is curving, usually the transparency is darker on the curve where we have more of the material. And so you'll see what I'm saying in just a second. So we want to focus on adding in those dark elements in the corners or in the curves where the elements will be overlapping, and then also we're going to add a little bit into the shadow on the bottom. So I'm first going in to these areas where they are being joined together, and I'm putting lines of this darkest color in those joining areas to the different ovals. And this is one of the reasons why I I asked you to kind of think about the form and to pay attention, because understanding how the form works is going to help you to work through where to put these dark elements of color. And please excuse this fly. I apologize for that. You can see the children coming in and out as I'm filming the tutorial, and of course it's summertime in the country. So I'm thinking about these areas with the darkest color, and I want to put those in first. And I know it looks really dark when you lay it down. It's a very, very deep purple here, but as we blend in and add in other colors, this is going to blend and fade out a little bit, so it's not going to appear as aggressively dark as it does. So just continuing to think about those areas of overlap, where we have the different areas of the oval meeting. You're almost outlining the ovals, but not quite, because not every area of the oval is going to be this dark color on the edge. But looking at the reference photo will help with this too. And as you look at the reference photo, think about what you're seeing in terms of shape, not the holistic dog. So try to not see the dog and to just look at each oval individually. And if you look at each oval individually as you paint it, that helps to break down the painting into different sections that you can focus on as you move forward. You will see that I continue to mix the colors on the palette. I am dipping the paintbrush into just a very, very small amount of Liquin Original to help to blend the colors. I've actually moved to a much smaller brush just because I want to be sure to have these really thin lines of color. But of course, use what you have. A round brush will work, and you can use just the tip of your round brush to add in that color. The most important thing is getting it on the canvas so that you can blend as you move forward. So you'll see that I'm going back and forth between these different colors. Now I am mixing in just a bit more of the cadmium red. I'm taking some of the blue mixture and adding it in to desaturate it just a little bit, and we're going to continue to mix in more and more of that pure red color as we move forward. But what I'm looking for here is a mid-tone to complement these dark patches that will then move us into the lighter patches on each of the ovals. So we start with that dark color, we go in with something that's just a little bit lighter, and we add in those dark kind of shadowy areas to the inside of the balloon, and then we will continue to work up to the lightest colors. And this is the same process that we have used for all tutorials, starting with the dark, moving toward the light, making sure that we have different levels of color. We have a dark, a mid-tone, and a light. And then also within those midtones, the more variation that you can get, the more realistic your painting is going to be. So you'll see that as I'm mixing these colors and laying down these colors for each oval, I'm adding in a bit more red, I'm adding in a bit more of the blue mix, and this helps to subtly change the colors as we move forward, which gives it more of a realistic look and appears more like we would see it whenever you look at an object in real life, because of the way the light reflects off the object and the other objects around it reflect off of it. You never get just all one color. Like if you were doing a coloring book, you would kind of color all one area in. And that's not the case. When you're painting, you want to be subtly changing those colors and thinking about how different elements reflect onto that color in the painting. So you can see that red of the neck is different than the kind of darker color that I've put on the ears. So I'm just moving between each of the ovals and I'm putting this mid-tone color, and then once I have this base mid-tone color in, we will go back and start to continue to build up the form by adding different colors in as well. As you put your brush strokes down, think about the shape of the oval, and the brush strokes will direct the eye. So you see that I'm kind of going with the curvature of the oval as I put that brush stroke down, and that's going to help us to get that movement. I don't really kind of scrub horizontally, I'm going vertically. If the oval is vertical, I'm going horizontally if the oval is horizontal. And part of that is so that the brush strokes will match, and part of it is also because we're thinking through the form and we're thinking through how the object exists in space, or how that oval exists in space. One area that you're really going to want to pay attention to are the intersections between the ovals on the legs, because we have some of the darker areas in these intersections, and you have the line where the edge of each oval is intersecting, and then you also have the transparent kind of smaller skinny oval between the two, and this will have a darker kind of mid-tone as well, because we have the intersecting overlap of the two ovals. So that you can see that I'm putting this in here, the darkness of the line, which is the edge of the oval, for the front oval and the back oval, and then a darker space in the middle where the ovals are overlapping. And this is really important because it gives us that illusion that we're seeing through the ovals. You also are going to want to put a little bit of a darker color into the feet, and this is something that I play with as the colors in my oval continue to build and to adjust, but that darker color in the feet grounds as well, and it helps to differentiate from the shadow when we go ahead and put the shadow in just a few minutes here. Now that we have these areas of dark in, we are going to start to add more of that pure red color, and this is going to help to bring in that form. You see that I've dipped my brush in just a little bit of white, and what I'm doing here is I'm starting to think through these areas of transparency, and also these areas where we're going to have a little bit of that shine. And so these lighter red colors here with a little bit of white mixed in are these areas where we have more transparency. The reason why this works within this painting to add in the white is because we have that pastel pink background, but normally we don't add this much white into the painting this early unless we're looking for these pastel colors. So just keep that in mind. There are other ways to lighten colors using complements and whatnot. So we want to avoid using white most of the time, but in this painting it's okay because we're looking for that kind of pastel color. So I'm starting to think about where some of these lighter shines are the shines that are less bright, and I'm adding the white in, of course mixing a little bit of Liquin just so that the paint flows off the brush, and looking for those areas of transparency that aren't the whitest highlights, but but that we can see a bit of the light reflected from the underside or from the back side of the oval, from the oval under the oval. I know that sounds a bit confusing, but if you think about the form, it starts to make sense. So my concern now is to just put in those areas of light to kind of work with that and the cadmium red to start to get a little bit of that shine built into each of the circles. And as I mentioned, we are going to go over these shines several times. Part of that is because we've used the red, so the white contaminates very quickly. It not only is contaminated with the red, but it will contaminate the red. So we move back and forth. Keep a shop towel so that you can wipe out your brush if needed, or you can even be using 2 different brushes if you have 2 different brushes so that you can get that bright red and oscillate between the bright red and these more kind of pastel white colors. Now I'm going back in with the cadmium red and I'm putting that pure red in the areas where we only have that one layer of balloon animal. We're only seeing that one layer, and this red helps to offer that dimension. You can see that even with these base colors being very messy and not being perfect yet, we're already starting to see a bit of the curvature and the form of the balloon animal come through in this early blocking stage. So this is actually a very exciting part of the painting. A lot of times you'll hear artists talk about the ugly stage, and that's usually towards the end of the blocking stage. And it's a stage I struggle with too, because your painting is starting to look like what you want it to look like, but it doesn't have all of the details. So it looks really messy. And depending on what you're painting, it feels sometimes like you're not going to get there, or it's going to be very hard to get to that. But these challenges are always good challenges, and always just keep pushing through that messy stage. What the worst that could happen is that the painting doesn't work out and you can start over. And for these tutorials, I've designed them to be a way to work on skills like color mixing, like painting form in a short format by using the alla prima method, where we paint everything all at once. So if your painting doesn't go well, you've only lost a few hours in an afternoon, and you can always start over and try again, versus a method where you're letting it dry between stages and it takes several days or several weeks to work on a painting. And I have examples of those in my time-lapse videos that you can watch if you're interested in seeing what that process would look like. So now I'm going back in and I'm just adding in those areas of shine again, thinking about mixing between these different colors so that we have these different layers of shine, or these different layers of brightness in the reflection. And I'm going for this really light pink, and this pink is actually almost the same color as the background, but because we have it within the red, it appears more white in the red than it does on the background. So just continue to adjust your colors. One of the wonderful things about oil paint is that it is so forgiving, and you can continue to experiment and to play, and if it doesn't work well, you just wipe it off. But we're really just starting to kind of get those registration marks for where these whites are going to go, and we want to be covering up all of the elements of the canvas so that before we move on to the blocking stage, we can make sure that we have the entire canvas colored in the approximate colors that we're going to be using. The areas between the legs may be one of the most challenging, so just take your time. That's where the ovals are interlapping. And also the tail. The tail was a lot of fun, but I found it challenging to keep it thin enough. So just try not to be too precious when you're putting down the paint. Sometimes a stroke comes out the way that it comes out, and if we continue to kind of mess with it, it can make it look a bit wonky. So just have confidence when you're putting your strokes down, and this definitely comes with the more painting you do, the more confident you become. And especially when we're at this blocking stage or at this early stage, it is all kind of temporary, and it's all a foundation that we're going to build on in the future. So we want to have the colors in the approximate right places, but if things are not perfect, that's okay. You don't want to spend all of your time trying to make one area perfect so that you're not focusing as much on the painting holistically. What I'm doing here is I'm going back in and I'm taking this kind of background color and I'm just cleaning up some of the lines. You're going to see that I do this several times throughout this process, and you may need to do this and you may not need to do this. It just depends on how your painting is kind of shaping up. And I am doing a few things with this. First, I'm refining the shapes and getting the balloons back into the shape that they need to be in. And I'm also covering up some of those stray marks. And I'm doing this because it'll be very easy to blend the red into the background since we have red in the white of the background. So I'm just putting these lines down just to clean it up. There are a few places where I can still see my graphite marks, and I want to be sure that those are not going to be kind of telescoping through the different layers of the paint. So I'm going back in and looking at that and just tightening up the ovals. So you may need to do this step and you may not. It just all depends on what your painting is looking like. Often the painting will inform us on what needs to be done. So it also depends on how crisp you want these lines around the balloon to be. You may enjoy having them be a bit more fuzzy and messy and loose, or you may want them to be more crisp and clean. And that's completely your own preference for what style of painting that you like best. This painting itself is in more of a loose style than some of the other tutorials that I have done, and that is just because of the whimsy of the subject matter and the limited palette. But you can see that even with the limited palette, we're getting a really nice range of different colors and different variations here in the painting itself. So I'll just continue to clean up these lines, and then once we have cleaned up these lines, we'll start to move into some of the elements that will make a huge difference in the finished painting, specifically with the shadow. Now that I have the majority of the figure blocked in for the blocking stage, I want to start thinking about the shadow and placing the shadow in, which is going to ground the figure in the background. So what I'm doing is I'm mixing up a little bit more of this dark pinkish purple color, and I'm looking at the form of the shadow and how it reflects some of the elements or the shapes of the balloon animal. So you'll see that we have this kind of dark area of the shadow as we're blending out, but underneath the animal itself, we have the brightest red of the reflection. This brightest red is where the light will be coming directly through the balloon animal and shining on the surface. And we will separate that brightest red from the red in the balloon animal by darkening up the feet a little bit. So this will start to really ground the form as we move forward. And then we want to blend out the edges of the shadow by having this really kind of light red color, which would be the reflection of the body as the light is shining through the body. So we're looking for 3 specific tones which will be blended very subtly together. We have the red, which is similar to the red in the body. We have the kind of bluish pink, dark pinkish purple of the shadow, and then we have this more pastel red, which is the light of the body as it's filtered down through the body itself. So adding those elements into the shadow helps to reinforce the transparency of the figure, as we see that transparency is also reflected in the shadow itself. And then I'm taking my blending brush and I am just kind of blending these elements together so they don't stand out as chalky or as blotchy. And I will continue to center this and add in a little bit more of the white where the shadow has gotten a bit too dark. And this is something that I kind of go back and forth on until the end of the painting. And shadows are a personal challenge for me, and that's something that I've been working on and focusing in my work. And you'll see the more that you paint, the more that you will have challenges. And so my suggestion is, instead of avoiding that challenge and trying to not include those elements in your painting, embrace that. Know that that is an area of challenge and do as much of it as you can. So add as many shadows as you can, play with shadows or whatever your element is, and then you master that and you get better and you can move on to the next area of challenge. So if you look at painting as something that is fun and something that is skill building instead of something that's just innate, being born knowing how to paint or to draw, I think is a myth. It does happen for some people, but for most of us, it's just practice, learning, looking for different models, looking for different teachers, because you're going to learn different skills from everybody that you watch or everybody that you take something from, everyone that you learn from. So shadows are my area of challenge, and it's something that I'm working on, and I enjoy sharing with you what I've learned. And I've talked a bit about this in past tutorials as well, but I am a self-taught artist, so I am sharing with you what I have learned and trying to break down the process in the simplest way that I can. But I always recommend watching a lot of different teachers and tutorials, because everyone has a different painting style, and you're going to find the style that makes the most sense for you and works the best for you. And as I have learned, I have gone through different teachers, and I will be making a video. I'm coming up on my 4th year of oil painting, which is really exciting. And I will be making a video kind of about the evolution of the process and the different teachers that I watched and different resources that I used as I moved forward with my painting process. Because it is very much a journey, and it's a different journey for everyone. And there's no reason that everybody can't paint if they want to and can't learn to paint and paint well. And our skills are always improving. Even the tutorials that you watch, it's practice for the teacher as well, and they are improving, and we're all at one stop along our journey. So after I've been blending in the shadow here, I'm going back in, I'm adding a bit more detail onto the tail. Specifically, I want the tail to be sharper and to be a bit thinner. So I'm thinking about adding these areas of darkness, and also to the little nose tie, which is the very, very end of the balloon, starting to add that shape. And the nose tie actually is very simple. It's a small kind of ball of dark, a swipe of dark, that we're going to finish off with an oval of red, and we're going to put a little white highlight in the end. At this point, I am coming back in with pure cadmium red and starting to define the sections towards the edges before the shine. And what I'm doing with this cadmium red is I'm thinning down those dark lines a little bit. I'm using a very small brush or the tip of a larger brush, and I'm just reducing the width of the dark line, because if we think about form, we think about the fact that these are ovals of transparent material. You're going to see the dark line on the curvature where it's bending away from the light and where there are the densest layers of the material that the light would be shining through. So I'm doing that in order to start to build form and roundness in the oval, and to separate those areas of shine so that they're going to stand out and they're going to pop just a little bit more. And we want to remember, as I've mentioned, that anytime we are painting something that has a rounder form, the area closest to the light is going to be the brightest, and it's going to be the lightest because it's closest to the light, and the area furthest away from the light is going to be the darkest. And so we have these areas that are shifting around and away, having those dark edges. And then we also, in addition to that, want to remember that when we're painting this figure, it is transparent. So the areas that have the least amount of material are going to be most transparent and lighter, and the areas that have the most amount of material are going to be darker. So there are two things to remember when we're thinking about the form, and this is where taking the time and doing that sketch and thinking about how this animal is put together with the balloons is helpful. We have the darkness at the junctures where the balloon would be twisted in on itself, and so those are areas of overlap. And then this bright cadmium red is going to be in those areas where we have that one layer that we're looking through. So adding this red in just helps to start to create that form, and it also is making it pop a bit more off of the canvas, the background as well. We do have to be careful, as I've mentioned, because we started with white, which is normally not something that we would do with a painting, but for this painting, it was necessary because we wanted to have that nice pink color. I decided to challenge myself to use only 3 colors with this particular painting for several reasons. Each of these tutorials uses a limited palette. So we have, I think, 8 tutorials now in our series, and each one is using a limited palette, and each one is done alla prima, which means all at once, and I try to keep it at around an hour and an hour and a half so that you can go in and practice these skills and learn more about color mixing and painting while creating something. Color mixing exercises are excellent, and I am going to be providing a video on the color wheel soon. But actually practicing while making a painting is very satisfying too. At this point, I am going in and I am just trying to clean up some of the edges. And this is going to depend on your personal aesthetic, if this is something that you want to do. So look at your painting, think about where your painting is and how it's reading for you. I feel that some of these lines just got a bit messy, and I wanted to blur them, fuzz them out a little bit, and give soft edges. If you enjoy a sharper look or a more distinct look, then of course your painting is not going to require this. It's a good practice. So if you do decide to do this on a painting, you can see whether or not it's visually appealing to you, or you feel that it adds to your painting. When you are blending out, a tip that I can offer is to make sure that you keep your brush in the same direction. So you'll see that I'm flipping my brush so that the pink background stays on one side and the red of the dog, the balloon animal, stays on the other side. Accidentally flipping your brush can put the red into the background, and it will cause you to go back and to do some fixing work there. But just make sure that you're putting your brush down the same way when you're fuzzing out lines in this way, especially like if you're ever doing a face or a portrait. You always want to keep flesh tones on one side, backgrounds on the other side. And then I'm also wiping out my brush. When I take it off screen, I'm wiping it into a shop towel to make sure that I'm getting off all of the excess paint. When you're using colors like cadmium red and white, it's very, very hard to get the brush completely clean just by wiping it out, but you can at least get some of that excess paint out. And if you do make a mistake, you can just take the background color. You should hopefully still have some on your palette. If not, you know how to mix that color now, and you can go back in and make adjustments. Here, I wanted to blend out that white stretch on the canvas, and I was actually having a little bit of difficulty with it, and this is because I used the Liquin Original as a medium, which helps the oil paint to dry. Normally you have around 3 hours or so before it gets tacky, but because I was using such a light layer of color for the background, it's already starting to get to that, not completely tacky, but it's starting to get to that tacky stage. So this is one of the reasons why some artists prefer using linseed oil as a medium, because it will stay more it's wetter longer, so that you can blend longer. And so that's something to keep in mind when I do sessions of longer paintings, or when I'm working on a painting over a longer amount of time. I often allow it to dry for days or weeks in between. And in that case, using something like a linseed oil can be very, very helpful, or another medium. There are several different kinds of medium, but I do like the Liquin Original for Alla Prima because it does, you can come back the next day or the day after and continue to work on your painting, depending what colors you've used. All pigments dry at different rates and different brands of paint as well, and that's just something that you'll learn with time. Now I'm coming back in and I am just adjusting those dark lines again, just because I wanted to be sure to have that really nice dark line right on the end of the leg here on this section of the painting. And so, of course, just look at your painting and follow with what your painting needs, what you have observed in your painting, and don't add things that you don't need to add, but these are just general kind of steps that you can follow. A lot of times when you get to the details stage, or when you get close to the details stage, your painting will start to inform you on what it needs, because we each kind of follow our own journey with the painting process. I do apologize here because I lost a few minutes of footage when my camera died, but I caught it pretty quickly. And why this looks a little bit different is because what I did is I went in and I blended down some of the shine to help kind of tighten up that shine. I wanted to blend the shine into the background to make it more organic. And then I'm going to come back in and add in that final layer of shine here in these last 10 minutes or so of the video. So right now I'm assessing how the form is looking, the shape of the different ovals, which if it's a little wonky, that's okay. Give yourself some grace because moving forward with the painting, we're going to start to add those details that are really going to bring the form alive. So what I am doing is I'm getting pure titanium white, and I'm also mixing in just a little bit of Liquin. And I'm going to go back over these lighter areas of shine, these more kind of blended areas of shine, and I'm going to start to add in the brightest or whitest highlight that I can by using layers of very thick paint to put those highlights on. Now, your brush is automatically going to pick up the background color, so go slowly. Take your time, be sure that you have enough medium and enough paint on your brush, and wipe your brush out between applications. And what we're really looking for here is that we're building on these other areas and we're having a nice kind of slight gradation to that brightest area. So you can see the brightest area on the tail is right on that back curve, and then it gets a little bit more red. The white disperses a bit into the red as it moves towards where the curve would be. So think about the form, look at the reference image from Patel, and copy that image and think about each oval in isolation. That can be really helpful in breaking up the painting as you work on it. So work on one oval, look at every area of that oval, zoom in as much as you can, and then move into the next oval. If you're having difficulty with your paint laying down like I did here, don't worry too much. You can always go and clean it up by adding a bit more cadmium red, or you can take a shop towel and you can pick up some of that excess oil and kind of dry or blot the area out just a little bit, and that sometimes helps with putting down thicker layers of paint. But just go slowly. Remember, you can always clean it up, and remember that we're looking for the illusion of form. So it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be a photorealistic image. It's about giving the viewer the information that will allow them to put this form together. And those areas of dark, those areas of midtone, and those areas of highlight are going to help to do that. So here we're adding on that bright highlight to the back of the neck, and you can see that the areas of light are starting to match on these vertical ovals. So we have the areas of light being right towards the area of the curve, and we'll also see this on the legs and the ears as well, but towards the areas of curve in the back towards the tail. So we're now adding the white highlight to the ear closest to the tail, and then we will soon add in the highlight to the other side as well. This is a great point in the painting when you're adding in these highlights to just do a final check, to think about making sure that the lines are distinct enough, that that you've added in all of those little glints that help to create that roundness, such as at the top of the ears, the very edge of that little sprout on the tail. We'll put in a highlight in the nose as well, and we can really start to see how this makes it look as if we have something that's very twisty turny on the page, something that is very fun and whimsical and shiny that you almost want to touch it. When I was painting this, one of the kids came in and they said, "Oh, that looks like candy." And I think that was a great kind of compliment to have this kind of juicy, red, sweet, pink animal balloon dog here. So as you continue to work on the shine, you can also think about where some of the lighter areas of shine are. If you've blended those out completely, you can put those back in, and you can think about where they are showing that the light is reflecting through the dog as well, through the material on the dog as well, just to help continue to build that illusion of form. I hope that you have enjoyed painting this dog this month and that you check out some of the other tutorials. If you are enjoying the series, please be sure to like, subscribe, and share. It really helps my channel out, and it helps to share just so that everyone has the benefit of receiving the free tutorial and asking questions. So I appreciate your support on my channel. Also, if you have any ideas that you would like to see in future tutorials, feel free to leave me a comment or send a message, and I can look into perhaps adding that idea onto the list of ideas. I've received a couple of great ideas from the shorts features, and I plan to use at least one of those for September. So I hope that you're going to enjoy that tutorial as well. Also, be on the lookout. I am putting together some intro level videos on materials and color mixing that I think that you're going to find really helpful as you move forward in your painting journey. Just remember that every painting is a learning experience, and even when our paintings don't turn out as successfully, we've still learned something and we've still gained new skills. Hopefully your painting will be successful and you'll love it. Hang it out, hang it up, share it. But it's all a learning process, and you're just going to get better and better the more that you paint. If you do paint any of these tutorials and would like to share, feel free to tag me on Instagram. You can tag me on TikTok. I would love to see your work, and I would love to see what you're doing. It's always amazing to see how everyone interprets the same image differently and how we approach the issues and challenges in our paintings as we move forward. So I would love to see your work, and I would love to see what you are doing and what you're working on. So please do tag me, and we can share what we're working on within our painting community. Here is our finished balloon dog and the original reference. I think we got pretty close. And please share your work, share this tutorial, and I will see you back next month for another free tutorial. Stay happy and stay painting, everyone. Bye.